This is Lagoon Radio.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning that you're doing, and this is welcoming you to the newspaper review here on Lagoon Radio. First and foremost, how was it yesterday? Hope it went well, and for those of us that try to get well, hope we were able to get. As for me, I was able to get all glory, honor, adoration, blessing, dominion, majesty be unto the Most High God. Okay, Lagoon Radio is your number one online gospel radio, powered by the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, and we're broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos, and that is the very heart of Lagos. We're live on our Facebook page at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, and also on our YouTube channel on LagoonTV. You can subscribe and turn on your notifications, and you can also like our pages and just follow us bumper to bumper on every exciting content we have for you today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, and beyond, like till thy kingdom come. Okay, my name is Olabisi Okay, and I think I'm going to be the chief driver of this newspaper review. I have with me my my conductor, Taiwo Adeola Shabi Olegbe.
Good morning.
Taiwo, how are you doing today?
Well, continuation of yesterday's ups and downs here and there. Traffic wahala. Thank God I didn't have to go through what I went through yesterday. Though today is not that it's not that today is the best, but at least
Today is better.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I had just had to stretch my leg and then let the driver do the work.
Gaga.
But yesterday, I was the driver, I was the conductor, I was the passenger. I just had to.
So today is like the rich auntie vibes. I can relate.
Yeah.
All right, we have quite a number of newspapers here, and I'm very sure we're going to take all today. So fasten your seatbelt, as I'll be starting from the Mercury newspaper. And the major headline is on 2023 LP NNPP discuss merger. Another merger. Okay, and the writers to that says push for Obi Kwankwaso presidency imminent. Obi says Nigerian politics hijacked by lunatics. And the NNPP dismisses Kwankwaso becoming Obi's running mate story. You can get all of that on page 5. And I have some stories at the top. This is on page 7. Benue farmer herders crisis claimed over 2,720 lives in Benue. That's on page 7. And moving to page 8, NUT president, 2,356 teachers dismissed over competency tests. And I think we actually read this competency test stuff yesterday, and we were like, why competency test after being employed? Why not the competency test before employment? And I think there's actually a particular criteria and a kind of requirement to actually fulfill before becoming a teacher in the country. Like I remember back then when I was actually looking for a teaching job, and they were like, you need to have your B.Ed, you need to go to you need to have your NCE certificate, you need to do, is it NTI, so I think that it should actually be part of the requirements before start the job, so that the lives of us stake because of incompetency, on both parts, teacher's part as well. So you can continue with your paper. And on page 9, this is on NIN, MTN, Glow, Airtel, Dangle, 50,000 naira bonus for customers. Okay, personally, what line do you use, Sharp?
I used 2 green lines and 1 red line.
Because personally, I use a yellow line and a green line, and basically, I think I'm yet to be a partaker of that. And I think there was actually a Glow advert that was talking about getting 20,000 naira bonus. I've not gotten mine. Let me stock out now. Okay, you can continue reading that on page 9 of the Mercury paper, and let me flick back to page 6 briefly. This on fuel. Abia Imo paid over 185 naira per litre in May, says NBS. And moving on to page 10, more trouble as CSO urges INEC to reject Akpabio Lawan. Human rights lawyer knocks APC over Lawan. And to page 11, security operatives cover Onaga Cathedral over Mbaka's protest. This Mbaka issue, it is well anyway. And lastly, on the Mercury paper on page 12, Ohaneze wants a rotational presidency included in constitution. Okay, rotational presidency. So that means if this is he actually wants it, that's what he desires. So that means if this is going to come into implementation, that means there will be another amendment, another constitution amendment. A rotational presidency, is it a yay or a nay? Okay, you can continue reading the story on page 12 of the Mercury paper. That'll be all for the Mercury.
Thank you very much. This is on the front page of the Nigerian Pilot. Sack of 2,357 teachers. NLC tells El Rufai to be human, considerate. How? Okay, so I'm just going to take something from the story. So the Kaduna State Universal Basic Education Board says it has dismissed 2,357 teachers who failed the recently conducted competency test. Its spokesperson, Awa Mohammed, in a statement on Sunday in Kaduna, said the board conducted a competency test for over 30,000 teachers in December 2021. She also said that 2,192 primary school teachers, including the national president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Audu Umba, has been dismissed for refusing to sit for the competency test. So, still the question. Why not at the beginning of, why waiting for this long to carry out this particular test? So that's that on that. That story is on page 5 of the Nigerian Pilot. Again, gunmen attack palace in Plateau, Kaduna, kidnapped monarch. That's on page 9. Don't stop CVR, and the writers to this says court rules tells INEC not to close continuous voter registration exercise on June 30. Other following motion ex parte by Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. SERAP insists extending CVR would raise people's confidence in electoral process. Suit adjourned to June 29, 2022 for hearing of motion on notice of interlocutory injunction. All of these you can read on page 8. Moving on, kidnappers collect cigarettes, rise to free Anglican Bishop and others. Kidnappers collect cigarettes, rise to free Anglican Bishop and others. That's also on page 8.
Obviously, there's hunger in the land.
There's hunger in the land, but it's the cigarette part for me. I really
cigarette
don't
part
understand.
for me, really. It's a cigarette
But
part
for
me.
people like them, I'm sure they need it so much. Mbaka distanced himself from protest, says he will obey Bishop's order. That's on page 6. Bayelsa boats missile bodies of core members, an elderly woman found. That's on page 9. Yes, I read it this morning. Court steps down Osinachi's husband's case due to multiple counsel. Okay, let's find out. Okay, so the alleged culpable homicide suit against Peter Umachukwu, husband of the late gospel singer Osinachi, in a Federal Capital Territory High Court on Monday, was stepped down in order for his lawyers to align themselves to represent him. I thought you passed the judgment already. So when the matter slated for hearing before Justice Njideka Nwosu Eme came up, the prosecution counsel Adirunke Imana informed the court that the matter was for hearing and that they were ready to proceed. So the counsel that represented the defendant during his arraignment, Victor Apakwa, however, prayed the court to adjourn the matter until Tuesday, as another lawyer from a different chamber just informed that he was taking over the case. How many? How many of them? So for all of these reasons, the court has actually stepped down the case of this man. What do you have to say to this?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, you can find out more on page 8 of the Nigerian Pilot. Minister says Apapa Port Rail track will be ready in 2 weeks. That's on page 5. I think that's some sort of good news. Terrorists demand 100 million ransom for abducted Kaduna worshippers. That one is on page 8. There's a lot to read on page 8. Federal government orders this coast to resume free distribution of prepaid meters. That's on page 7. And that will be all on the front page of the Nigerian Pilot.
All right, moving on to this Nigeria, the major headline: operators sound the alarm bell. Long fuel queues may soon return as IPMAN orders members to sell the premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, at 180 naira per litre. You can continue reading that on page 4 of this Nigeria papers. CBN's policies are damaging Nigeria's business environment, says World Bank, as ex-Niger Delta Affairs Minister Orubebe resigns from PDP. I think it's been a while I heard that name, so the name is actually resurfacing now. All right, moving on. APC senatorial list: no law stops Lawan from contesting in the primary in 2 primaries. Then lastly, on this Nigeria papers, made to die by hanging for killing ex-governor Igbinedion's mother. You can continue reading all of the story on the inside of these Nigeria papers.
All right, moving on to Daybreak. At the top, we can see police confirms abduction of village head in Bauchi. That's on page 2. Federal government spending on pension gratuity drops to 356 billion naira, confirmed by CBN. That's on page 2. And on page 4, placeholder unknown to our laws. INEC tells Tinubu and Peter Obi. Still on page 4, we can see the story: foundation treats over 1,000 FCT residents for malaria, diabetes, hepatitis, and others. Moving on to page 5, court stops INEC from ending voters registration. But honestly, we have deadlines for all of these things.
But really, I think I'm actually going to be in support of that because of not ending the voters registration, because looking at
you can't end it. Not everyone has the time to do it.
Not everyone. So you should actually give people time. To me, it should actually be a continuous thing. It shouldn't be when it's time for election, or when election is getting closer. That's when you would know you're supposed to encourage people to come to their voters registration. It could be a continuous thing. Okay, take for example, the first time I did my voters registration, I was a student. And for some time, I was actually making use of that card.
I used it twice. And this past election.
Yeah, so then as time goes on, you're okay. Now, I was bearing my maiden name. Now my name has changed. You understand? I was bearing my father's surname. Now my name has changed, so I have to just make some amendments and all that. So to me, it should actually be a continuous thing. It shouldn't close, but it might be suspended maybe when it's almost time for election. Like, you're gonna stop the voters registration for some time. Then after election, you continue, because a lot of people need the state. Then
not for election alone.
Not for election alone. Then basically, the number of voters shouldn't be more than the number of how would I even put it? Shouldn't be more than the number of Nigerians in general. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that's where the function of the population census commission comes in. So maybe take for example,
when was the last time we had census?
Exactly.
I was little when we had that.
That is it.
Was very
So
little.
maybe during the census period, by the time the head count is done and all that, let's take for example, okay, report says we have 100 million Nigerian, and voters registration says we have 150 million Nigerian. Just to realize, where did the remaining 50 million come from? So that's the way to.
That means something is wrong somewhere.
Exactly. So these offices, there are some offices that are actually meant to work hand in hand. But basically, the bottom line is that I am also in support of
not ending
the voters registration, at least for now. I
think there's still time.
By the time you even get to registration centers, you're already worn out because everywhere is overcrowded, and with the level of insecurity in the country.
I tried last week and I was discouraged. I had one, the one I did a very long time ago, in the time of Goodluck Jonathan, but then it's all faded out, and I can't even see myself clearly. So I just need to, renew it. But then I got there.
But really, you have no choice. You have no choice.
Of course, I will. I did it. I did the online stuff already just to go for capturing. It's really discouraging.
No, but really, basically, technology has actually advanced more than this stress we are actually putting ourselves through.
You can do it online to save you some time.
There's actually a portal that has been created for you. So I believe that there should be a kind of self-registration. There should be a column for your pictures. Put your pictures. Then go to a nearest printing center and print it out. Finish. You already have your
life
card.
made easy for INEC itself.
Exactly.
All right, all of these we've been talking about, you can read more on page 5. Foundation, I took that already. The major story there says, aftermath of primaries, defections in APC and PDP, and the writer says, APC suffers mass defections in Katsina, Sokoto, and Bauchi. Orubebe Kasim Afegbua resigned from PDP. Rivers Governor Wike meets with Governor Umahi of Ebonyi. Keep small. You can read all of this on page 2. Kaduna kidnappers collect cigarettes, food items as ransom. Well, in place of money. That's on page 5. It's funny, but it's a serious matter, honestly. Some Kaduna train attack victims beaten by snakes. Negotiators and some are coming out to say this. That's on page 6. Federal government orders discourse to resume free meter distribution. That's on page 2. TED Fund approves 15 billion naira for National Library projects. That's on page 2 as well. That's all on the Daybreak newspaper.
All right, the last paper for today is Al Jazeera Nigeria, and the writer at the top, no constitutional provision for running mate placeholder, says INEC. And we read in the news this morning that the All Progressive Congress presidential candidates and the Labour Party presidential candidates are actually nominated interim running mate, and following the submission of the presidential candidate and their running mate by the political parties, INEC has actually said the concept of placeholder for presidential candidates has no place in its constitutional and legal framework. So you can continue reading that on page 13 of the Al Jazeera Nigeria. And the major headline on Al Jazeera Nigeria: Supreme Court Justices slam CJN, and the writers to that say he lacks transparency. Tanko addressed issued raised that the spokesman talking now. You can get that on page 8 of the Al Jazeera Nigeria. And moving on to page 10, kidnappers demand 150 million naira for release of Sani Toro. And moving on to page 25, 68,633 candidates jostle for space in 110 unity colleges. And to page 26, federal government of Nigeria saving bond investment rise to 7.5 trillion naira. And on page 30, court stops INEC's June 30 voter registration deadline. That's actually a kudos. And I have two major stories on page 2 of Al Jazeera Nigeria. Husband treated Osinachi like animal. Sister tells court. And still on page 2, Kaduna train attack. Hostages threatened by snakes, says a negotiator. And lastly, this is on this is from on Peter Obi. Imo APC PDP collapse structures for Peter Obi. And the story is right at the front page of the Al Jazeera Nigeria papers.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry I have to take a few one from the Punch. I have to take a few one from the Punch, and this one says it's about OAUTH. Doctors embark on 2-day warning strike.
OAU Teaching Hospital.
Yes, the Association of Resident Doctors at Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, on Tuesday embarked on a 2-day warning strike over an alleged assault on one of them by a nurse.
Wow.
So the resident doctors said the warning strike would commence from 8 a.m. Tuesday, that's today, June 21st, 2022, to 7:59 a.m. on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. So for more stories, you can check out Punch newspaper. And this one, NECO releases common entrance result. The federal government on Monday announced the release of the result of the 2022 National Common Entrance Examination into Unity schools. And another one, court remands book publisher over $156,711 fraud. That's a lot. So Justice Dada of the Ikeja Special Offences Court, Lagos State, on Monday ordered one of the Macmillan's book publishers, Fatasibola, to be remanded in a custodial center over alleged fraud. You can find more of the story. Read more on the Punch newspaper. And then we have something on ASU. Negotiation committee waiting for federal government, says ASU and SSN. So that's all I can take here on the Punch newspaper.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of the newspaper review here on Lagoon Radio. You can join us for more of our shows. They are all educative, informative, and also entertaining. You can join our social media platforms on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and our YouTube channel on LagoonTV. And for more news update on and Lagoon.News. I still remain on Labisi Semidele and
Taiwo Adeola Shabi. Good morning.
Have a nice morning.